then presentation hoshala devwani Maldives Pension Administration Office ke Investment and Advisory Services ke head Alfal Ahmad Sinan adi Investment Development Analyst Alfalila Mariam Hana.
Assalamu alaikum. Algon pension Maldives Pension Administration of the Faratun Algon Ahmad Sinan Adalungi colleague Mariam Hana me Badumi colleague World Investor Week 2021 presentation Algon Faratun me the how to be a smart investor a pension perspective. Me title get some presentation. Irat Kuj Algon presentation could with series minutes that we my 11:15 warm wearing Algon Nimalana Algon Adialualam Benuvani presentation. Megan fast kamaka a fast kamig Algon Pushahalani for the man what is smart investing investment key cobato at the again Diha Kame Magan smart invest Kurang Korevidan. There was a section of government there were ways to be a smart investor, a manaki kihineto on smart investor Haisatum Magan fast kamaka follow Korevidan. At the team one section go to MRPS. It is an investor government Mikurani to provide investment solution for our members. At the Hatarwana Kamaka member on a feather, the Alwal first one Kamaka conclusion at the Tibet following questions of government Tibenakam. And presentation Petum we go to for the main section. What is smart investing? When I'm smart investing a kikobata. Meeting definition of the Yamu and Algorithm Cambridge Dictionary about investing in Bahuge Marne to Maneki putting money, effort, time, no etc. into something to make a profit or get an advantage or the money, effort, time. Nagan go take Lari Nuniam Wabut Nuniam Masake Kogem Mustabalga Natija Hoda. Itur Manatakakamanya Maganutiga Aliolwa Milani, yes, Natija Hodu Muhimukama, E Natija, E Ingum, Comments Varaka Muhimukang invest Kurumeko. Migi misal Takakamanya Punevidan, yes, Kumfunya share Gatumaki long term investment. Hamagoto Divihirajaki tourism were board of this invest Kofovaga Mekanoniam Huluma leg invest Kurmaki real estate investment. Adi Hengue go to number pension office in IT investments key for their significant Noniam Sarukarum education were Barwalagan invest Kuran Kodero. Investments ke basics from a pension perspective. Okay. For the man investment ki example hame can monetary gains exclude rights. Investment could be something goal oriented. Misal kan higher education and on savings plan and on business planning head and waki qualification misal ka doctor ka on engineer ka whose investments come consider for it. But border alwal fa kuram benama ki financial investments no among a financially invest kurung muhimmu kanoni e konkameto visnu mi muhimmu kameke sobaki mustaqbal ga anna kama wanyama wagutu ge edeve natija hodma financial investments understand is important. Money investment objectives for sure halang himbeneng ebejalang emmenges arne sabaki dirulum ganoni among wagut fight on the risks taka korimatiwan personally adinunam economically huna risk to geterege inflation adinuniam returns edeviga wagote go hodumataka time wagutuge emme edeve natija hodumag ebeche investment objectives as clear. At the same time, investment objectives are ekige abundance return objectives. Like ekmane ke ek waguta ekura sacrifice noname opportunity he the kogen elibe natija ki rangal edeve natija ko pension perspective konama invest kura Kurumung edeve retirement tech achieve kureveto belong waramoi. And Mihai Setung algorithm we focus mikurani pension plan nagge haisatung algonmeng MRPS noni Maldives retirement pension scheme ge hori opportunities akino ne khodde masakat kikabato egotung aldialwadum benung algonmeng ki investment savings plan ek anne memberung ge retirement masakke kora adi algonmeng ge aim ki memberung sustainable retirement thing emi humus kuli kurevumo ulung adi wanyamung state welfare we has depend no amilla purveri gotega diri ulung binako itur tafsila teme kuring ali alwalam benung ting hataru kujike scenario meda kani huri hemmes umurong ekavis aharuga libe musare binako naga investment choices no am return risk choices ke sababung nukunane natija at retirement at 65 mi tigali alwalam benan fortam kamaka emmenge musara tafatu fassas dihas liha salisas versus emihun save kura adadu ge sababun emmen nimer miser me kuran enhance rofia aminat ge musare ki fassas konas tikla salisas liber 2.5% save kurar a save kurar 1000 rofia while aminat saving 20% commitment also gets to save 1000 rupiah a month. Then me balani hataru kuding invest me kurani kocha to balar I'm not 2000 me invest me kurani shares and only am stock exchange ke share ganna come up therefore difla misalo ke invest kurani no lari alne hame ken bank current account ka wa kama wanyam then me anna tafat to tereng yield noni return objective emme high ko indicatively me shares ke while fixed, let's say fixed deposits no savings account ke lari hore ke am tafat natija banu ko magon gotig nimeru retirement ka savings egg other de come of this komme maha ko return ke sababu at 65 hame keni emme bodu other de save ko for me nani amulet and magon gotig alialo benoni retirement save kurua iru the approach you have noni among a gengule the journey you take is very important to determine konta kunto any merhunna itsura kuredamu algormen rifa kollana diha kamek kore vidane investment smart invest kava mi gotung algormen andalwalum benumani mi Forbes advising Falco Pava diha kame egi fortama mi bunani start investing early mane ki avaha fashashe invest kura no madunu kurashe no niyamo waki umure hasil and no niyam waki war kalar echi wande madunu kurashe invest hama we has our invest fashashe devana kama consistent investments egma discipline ka eki invest kurang asum khandal ashe a komme mahakwes wanyam ham save kof a savings go to pay to paramay timan kama ka build a diversified portfolio ehembe from this presentation ga alwadi hang adi amtu zakaria presentation magan egg subject ka vifada diversification is important huriha lari enolem huriha focusing egg portfolio kan kurum ge batoga investment opportunities the bahalagging and the befrost like a pen thing when come hatar when come don't estimate the power of compound interesting exactly time is an asset in itself waguta ki lari difugane venetsan wagutu fight warakal elari lari ki gotu ge through kama wanyam a compounding interest ke sababung ebe libe interest returning lari hoda masik kuruma lari hoda fuhuri lari lari libum exobun libenati chawara tafat first one kamaka don't chase the highest returns invest kura adi amdum pension fund ko mar invest kar bara muhim kame mi invest kurani digurasta yakam de handan kur mi ki kurum budda tegga vi has emmegina emme highest natija libe re heno names digurasta retirement binako kihinetto algorme portfolio develop kurani kuriya balairu mi havana kamaka build a risk appetite mane ki gellum wong ekashi gemve horiha kamages eme gelluma ki ko bato gellum wani ki havara kotadi gellum veggia mon e kureveni konkametto denik tun kuri bag waramai hatvana kamaka track investments regularly. Usulege mating invest kurva fawu huriha investment ki abadu matsanoni among iturwan etchekam gabu kugenwan and investments the kure for walpota etchi perform kurage belumaki waramai Avanakamakan avoid herd mentality. Manaki emming adi kame kure segam sabung egim natija ke emming denti be emming kurashi case no. Emming adi kurias ege natija komhem vakashenu je e pension fund kano neamo amil personal objectives are match one investment. Okay. No avanakamaka educate yourself. Among the best investments that you can achieve is education. As a career presentation, Benjamin Franklin quote gets investment is in itself, knowledge is in itself an investment. So Dihavanaka patience is a virtue. Komekamaki wagutuman kameno gahev kumeva eliben vado wagutunagan seed in the mother. Investments case, yes. Same principle applies. Pro itu egar mananam pro tipaka bunelang albeno health is wealth. Yes, you can have a very good portfolio, you can have a very good return, but having a unhealthy lifestyle could be a big expense or a big deterrent in terms of achieving your objectives. Okay, Bisabun Bengal section 2 goes Algan Alialwala ways to be a smart investor. Hamwara Kurko Magon first come UK Barclays Bank Alialwala a kamuga mihimenani, yes, first kamaka learning a fortan daskurashe kontu opportunities that to hori kobato me benova maulumantaki noni benova noveshaki. Devanaka plan kurashe kihineto diversify kurani kobato hori risk ki a risk taka teku kurane noni approach kurane gote. Timanakamaka discipline, a discipline develop kurashe, a kamerangala kurang, a cardinal analysis, see the bigger picture of things, and patience, a long-term strategy. Mihisabung organ presentation, past Quran and organ colleague Mariam Hana, and she will outline on the Maldives pension retirement scheme as an investor.
Thank you, Sinan. Good morning, everyone. Namaki Mariam Hana. I'm an investment development analyst working in pension office. Pratham Fashar will go through a little bit of a background of what MRPS is, Maldives Retirement Pension Scheme. Dehas Navadavara Ahar Pension Beheganu Tasti Kurama Kujudang as Pava scheme, Maldives Retirement Pension Scheme, and it is a mandatory defined contribution scheme. Defined contribution scheme that this scheme is funded by both employer and employee contributions lagging, and to grow this fund, we invest these contributions, and that's the main features of a defined contribution scheme. And the purpose of Maldives Retirement Pension Scheme is to provide a retirement savings plan. A Huriha employees register for Huriha employees retirement savings plan and for Kodinon that will determine the members with a sustainable stream of income after retirement to maintain their standard of living. The next point is MRPS is also an inflation index scheme. The funds that are invested, we invest them with the objective of growing at a rate higher than domestic inflation rate. That the funds that are invested, or when the member retires, we want to preserve the real value of the funds that at the time of retirement for the members. And as I mentioned, the fund is funded by contributions from both employers and employees. So minimum of 14% of employee pensionable wage has to be contributed to MRPS. That is 7% by the employee and 7% by the employer. And currently, formal sector employees, both public and private sector employees, are registered and contributing to the fund. But foreign employees and self-employed people can also participate voluntarily and contribute to the fund as well. And funds contributed to the scheme are invested in asset classes which are stated under the Pension Act. And me fund me contribute kura funds tang invest kurane gota me ege regulations or strategies are provided by investment committee, which is a subcommittee of the Board of Pension. And they provide us with a statement of investment principle and strategic asset allocation and how these MRPS funds should be invested in. Next slide, please. Sina, next slide, please. Next.
Sorry.
Yeah, and Kudako highlights of how currently MRPS highlight 15.5 billion of assets under management is currently with MRPS. No? And from MRPS monthly average 93 million is contributed by the members, and currently 102,689 active employees. Employees are registered with MRPS, and 2,925 employers contributing to MRPS, and 102,689 active employees registered with MRPS. And Kudako them me slide I think I said 2019 now again. Me as 2009 me MRPS Pension Act is this not correct? Just wanted to clarify that mistake. Okay, then argument balalani what also the Pension Act specifies what investment asset classes and in me kinetto invest kureveni what our strategies are stipulated very clearly in the Pension Act. So me Puratama community the security of assets. We need to look into how secure an asset is before we invest our members' funds in. And the second is, as others have also mentioned, this diversification. It is a very important aspect when we invest our members' funds. So we try to invest in different asset classes so that even in different sectors as well, so that even if by chance one of the asset classes is performing bad, we can be compensated by the other asset classes' performances. The third one is risk-return trade-off, and it is very important. We do invest in asset classes that provides the members with the higher return when given the risk of that asset class. So it is very important to see how much of the risk we are going to bear for the members, and the return that we are going to get on that asset or investment will be able to compensate for the risk that we are going to take on. The fourth one is liquidity. Liquidity we need to maintain, as Pension Act states, we need to maintain a certain level of liquidity because the main objective of our fund or scheme is to provide the members with a pension at their retirement. But we are a long-term investor and our liabilities are very long-term. So at the moment, we do not have any liquidity problems. But when we do invest, we do take into account whether we have any pension payouts, any liabilities that need to be taken care of before we make any investments. So, next slide, please. Okay, the Pension Act, the clause 16 of the Pension Act states clearly what in asset classes that fund of pension MRPS fund can invest in. The first one is the bank accounts and monetary funds such as bank deposits and also in Sharia terms, general investment assets. And second one is securities issued by relevant bodies of government of Maldives and to the extent guaranteed by the government. So these can be treasury bills or treasury bonds, such asset classes. And the third one is securities issued by the business entities listed on a licensed stock exchange in the Maldives. So the securities should be listed in the capital market for us to invest in. And the third one is mutual funds and approved in the Maldives. So, and the clause 16 also does specify which in asset classes that we cannot invest from the pension fund, and currently real estate and unlisted securities are asset classes that pension MRPS funds cannot be invested in. Thank you. Next one, please. Next, we are going to look into the investment, different asset classes that we pension MRPS has invested in. I would like to highlight that at the beginning of when pension MRPS began, most of our investments, which was more than 80% of the investments, were made only in treasury bills, 1 year treasury bills. The main reason for this is because MRPS receives contribution daily. So we need to make weekly investments, and the only opportunities that we get from the capital market or in the market is treasury bills for the weekly investments, day-to-day investments, and other investments that we can make are with listed securities. But in the market, the listings of securities and companies are very infrequent or very scarce. So we do not have much opportunities to make day-to-day investments in these. But despite this, in the past 5 years, MRPS has diversified itself to other than treasury bills into treasury bonds, corporate bonds, sukuks, shares of companies, bank deposits, which includes fixed deposits, and general investment accounts, Sharia compliant deposits as well. So currently, as of 2020, we have 88.9 in treasury securities, which is 63% in T-bills, treasury bills, and 26% in treasury bonds currently. And corporate bond sukuks, we have around 4.4%, shares 4.3%, and bank deposits 2.5%. And diversification still is a very big objective of us, and we are still working towards it so that we can increase our allocation towards shares and sukuks and such things away from treasuries exposure as well. Just want to highlight that. Thank you. Next slide, please. Investment performance. This is how our the investments that we have made in the asset classes have performed in 2020. When we make an investment, it's inevitable that there won't be any return fluctuations. We have to be aware that that could happen. But when we look at our asset classes, T-bills, T-bonds, corporate bonds, and fixed deposits, these provide us with a fixed rate of income. So fixed rate, we are able to know that, so the safety level of these fluctuations is very low. But when it comes to sukuk, equity, and GIA, there might be fluctuations that happens in the short term, depending on the performance of the economy or the performance of the underlying asset classes. So taking an example of this year, due to the COVID pandemic, most companies and banks did defer their dividends and such things, and those fluctuations may come into our return calculations in the future. But what I want to highlight here is that pension office is a long-term investor. Our returns and our liabilities are linked to the retirement payouts of the members. So such short-term fluctuations in returns or may not be so detrimental for us, as we are a long-term investor and our liabilities are maybe 30 years ahead in time. Just want to highlight that. Thank you. Next one, please. So this is the how we do the investment process. So we have guidelines provided by the Pension Act, the Statement of Investment Principle, Strategic Asset Allocation, and also internally we do have a guideline on how due diligence processes are to be made. A framework is provided, and this can be seen on our website as well. So we do make, as I mentioned before, weekly investments are made. For weekly investments, we usually have opportunities in T-bills or fixed deposits or general investment accounts. And when we do these investments, we do weekly, we look into the liquidity of the fund portfolios, how much cash is available in each portfolio, weekly, how the funds have been performing. We take those into account before doing these weekly investments. Then comes ad hoc investments. That could be an IPO or a listed debt instrument, a bond, a sukuk that might come in, or any other investment proposals that come in. These we do a very in-depth due diligence assessment before we do an investment in these kind of assets. So, and then these after the due diligence process is concluded, we take it to the investment committee. We recommend what the investment should be, and then this is taken to the board, and the final say is given by the board of directors whether to invest or not in an asset. And it just doesn't end with investment. We do monitor and review the performance of all our investment asset classes and the investee companies. We do keep, we monitor every quarter, every annually, and review those performances as well. This is just a little frame snapshot of how the guidance on due diligence for MRPS investments is. We just have provided the main focus areas that we look into when we do the due diligence. But each one does have sub areas that we go into, but these are the main areas that we look into, which is we always have a macroeconomic analysis so that we understand how the economy is currently performing and whether this would impact the industry that the investee company is operating in. And then we do an industry analysis of the investee company. So whether how much significance it is for the GDP or the particular industry, how important it is, or to the GDP of the country, how important this industry is, and what are the potential growth opportunities or the key drivers of these industries. We look into that as well. And then we go into the operational part of the company, where we look into the management and reporting of the company. So we look into how the shareholding structure is, what are the board compositions, whether there are internal policies, internal controls in place for risk management. And then we look into the financial analysis part of the investee company. So we go through at least 5 years of the annual financial performances. So through the annual reports, and if there is any other information that we require, we contact the investee companies and get the information to do the analysis. So we try to see how they have performed past 5 years, whether in the long term we see forecast whether they will be still performing at a good rate. And especially for a debt instrument like bond and sukuk, we do credit analysis for the issuer and issuer as well. And then there's the valuation and portfolio consideration. Valuation here we mean mostly for IPOs, for share and equity investments. So we do independently value the equity instrument and see if the provided share price is a fair price for the company, and that we do on our own independently as well. And then we also take into the consideration how our portfolio, the risk return profile of our portfolios, whether it's investment portfolio, share portfolio, and take those into account, whether liquidity is there, cash flow is available. We do cash flow forecast as well for that. So all this is just a summary of what we do when we make a huge investment. I think that's all for my part. I'll pass it on to Sinan.
Thank you, Hannah. So just to conclude on our presentation, we would like to highlight on what are the benefits to MRPS membership, and come together. So to illustrate what are the benefits to our MRPS membership, again, we would like to illustrate the case for a 21-year-old who has three options of either saving it in cash, putting it in a savings account, or putting it in 100 rupiah in MRPS, meaning that yes, you get matched equally by your employer and you eventually save 200. So projecting this into the future, at age 65, the 100 rupiah saved through MRPS every month eventually turns to 326,492. And as illustrated on the graph, there is an exponential growth to the possibility of gaining value for your savings through MRPS, as opposed to the accelerated rate of gains you can get from bank savings, or the case of not investing your money at all. Okay. Overall, what we would like to highlight is the Pension Act is what governs the retirement environment of the Maldives, and through this Pension Act, we are, as an MRPS fund, we pool our investments to take advantages of opportunities such as T-bills. We provide flexibility to our members to choose between Sharia and conventional funds, and we govern ourselves through measures such as custodial banks to ensure that we protect our members and their investments. Similarly, we would also like to outline that we have in place ISO, IP, and SAA to follow the best investment practice that is in line. And we also aim to have a structure where we aim to deliver 50% of your retirement income right now at retirement, provided that we are able to achieve 5% return on 30 years of savings. As far as individual members are concerned, we operate at a relatively low admin fee of 0.6%. We have a thorough due diligence process, as Hannah outlined, and one among the biggest advantages is that there is significant economies of scale with the fund that we operate. Individually, this MRPS fund could serve beyond the retirement plan, such as a wealth planning tool for your inheritance or such. And there are benefits associated to being a member, such as from gaining hedge finance and housing collateralization through your existing RSA. On the questions and clarifications, I believe we have dedicated time for that. So we will be available for you guys, for our audience at the end. And to conclude, yes, we would like to outline that the Pension Act determines the environment here, and as MPAO, we administer and overlook the MRPS, or the retirement fund, for our members who are officially contributing to the scheme. MRPS is a retirement tool that is set by the law, for that 14% of basic salary gets contributed every month, and where members do have a choice. And post-retirement wealth is what we aim for, in particular through MPAO, and member benefits are existing for members to even utilize this beyond the retirement plan. With that, we would like to also outline our references that we use for the lectures today, and would like to thank our audience for the opportunity that was given to Pension Office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hannah and Sinan, for sharing the pension perspective of investing. Hisabun bæveringe suwaltaka furusatu huluwalana. Suwal kurapam benum furuwa befrum vejaya hama unmute kolla for suwal kolla.
Inka wara ginave fulum saf kollam benum fan echekannege. Ani salaka mi Beflo Benufolo and the Commissi Sabacum house in nice school student of Metibi. Emi Kalaka plan colla me pension fund collateralize Kurevegota amount Takava Gota Congo Murega Kineto, Vani Kala, which is half color if you are a useful Kamakavan connect. This just for the benefit of everybody.
Shukriya, pension fund housing collateralized scheme and operate for a commis work ali alwalan or Magan go take pension fund ki pension ekta bala for me pension fund of and pension ektuga mi bunani divehi rajitsunge pension attaka ege mane ki retirement savings attaka scheme of for retirement savings funding of create kurumge maksad ga pension of then mi pension scheme ge dashung ege mane ki pension lari behetuma fahu noni a first principle fulfill kufruma fahu devanakamakka housing collateral scheme noni among ge gatuma egen ves eba benon kureve sharutu takenga behimben furtamakamakan etimi bahaleveni memberuge umurun kihawaretto miwani eg mane ki depending on the age algon yagin kamaki mulekunda ekam up to 35 and then member up 100% of RSA can be pledged to their housing collateral scheme. Gradually from 35 and above, meaning member retirement approach kura waraka a percentage of kuda vesabaki anekas pension ektuga pension ge mf magadu purutam mangsadaki pen divehi rayitun pension noniam retirement age angannam vera pension na hurume noniam riveti dirulume ulen save kure for hurume then means pension save kureve usone pension fund benon kogin ge gatuma algondu etigali alwadam benuve it is a lari mi websites tika gossa ge gannang deve lari no names collateralization ge gotuga deve lari noniyamun divehi bahum punakam rahunu ge gotuga mi fund mi benu mi kurane e gisabun algon mi punane okay miveni befule noniyam algon menge pension account ga miveni member ki divehi rajite ge miveni adada kalare butte e lariyaki e member ge gatuma hushe helidane lari namaves e lariyaki ebe fulunna ge gatuma taka pension fundu uni kurevena tatenu algon men e lari ane misalaka member ku ge ganna kam wanyam depending on the qualification amount a befulige amount algonmen transfer kurani a facility algonmen ki bas wegen hamachasafawa lending institute ke mane ki bank kun loan do kurani a loan do kura sharto ge terega pension fund ge savings account collateralize collateral noni mortgage ko bala ganna kama wanyamo algonmen mi pledge me kurani member has these funds hence if these funds are to be in a worst case scenario to be recouped this is possible names gave fund kuran nuniam ge gatsumang edaka aga khanda na nege nuniam khende adadeno names pledge kurave adade par gina faharang algonbeng institute takaki ebasum ge dashun adad algonbeng ge belum ge dashun e befrong ge belum ge dash transfer kura eru algonbeng memberun ge taka ebe fulnam eba hama return ebe sebe secure kodeng on top of a befulunge sacrifice taka ege mane ki it algon illustrations the king pension office through non MRPS through save coffee among able live warang attractive return and only amo conventionally individual ge haisatun rajye ge bank ka goske nodi pene savings rates and only investment rate cover rangal returning that correction provide kodeme pension investments tele namaves a fund member benum wegen housing collateralization mo kofiam that hisabung algon benna kanu devene algon benge pension performance and the pay returns hisabun the penny pension fund mo kogen a collateralization scheme no lending institute arrangement taka hamaj sadi fein adat fulasa kolan pension fund scheme lari bervenu kure ge ganna kashe names ge gatum ge marhala ya fagati kurmataka depending on the lending institute this can be pledged as a collateral asset ablo suwala jab devum kamang organ med kura
adene mi elmetere yang kudin tibi masluga mi ekudinna mi wagatu benum kurena kanege full ko detta age abalafa.
Yes, umurun 35 kurim mi benum kureven ham 100% of the RSA. Ngeda pledge kora neke.
Me around put a swallow about it. Hold
Ad shukr.
out of the better.
Korea ad adive.
Around that in swallow about for them swallow ki me housing no kamaka pension funduga mihuna fasa benum kureveto is swalaki. Devana swalaki funduga mihuna අලුගොඩුගේ එකනි එන්න එමවන්ට් තෝය මේ බේනුම් කරව නිතුරු බයක ජොයින්ලි වාහකයකි මේ බේංක කන්නුන රහුණ ගොතුග ඇති හුෂලි දානතෝ දැන් තිම්මන සුවාලකි මේ පෙන්ෂන් ෆන්ඩුග මේ අවුන්මෙන් මේ ඉන්න එමවන්ටුගේ ඉතුරම් මේ පෙන්ෂන් ෆන්ඩුග ඉන්වෙස්ට කරවිගෙන් යන්න ප්‍රොෆිටුග ගොතුග යන්න බෑ ඒති මේ ඉන්වෙස්ට කරවැනි මේ ඉස්ලාමික් උසූල්ග තෙරේග තෝය ඒග බෙස් ඔප්ෂන් ඉදේ තෝය emitindo sual.
Okay, vara por shukriya ngata ti kore sual taka. And furtam sual ka pakole housing non kamaka pension fund ge lari penum kore vete. Algon men presentation ge saldi alwading ev kamaka magon kamaka pension fund ge de sambaldi alwad magon asasa ki retirement tibe for funding how much is that the numbers tibe for sual see that the kamanjam housing non itur kam kavejam algon me Maldives Hajj Corporation medubari ko zaruri nunam komme be for like furtam hajj diumataka mi fund ge lari hama benon koreve ngeda ei algon alwala na see the we be ne fata kamuga housing itur devana sual da kamanjam combine korgen ehembe fulge RSA balance no pension fund go hori lari combine korgen benefited generate kore danta eswal ge job algona giveni border depending on the lending institute noniam tibe fla hidumen hodan duruwa bank noniam lending institute ge condition nakin eti follow if a lending institute ki debe fulunge RSA pledge korgen comfortable one arrangement ka devene kama banyamu algorithm mikura ko dekama ki tibe fulunge RSA is approved lending institute vejiamu ehun arrangement ke dashung e befurna pledge code denimi collateral asset ke ko I mean rather algorithm pension ofi hun de hidumate noniam protected no names algorithm na ke ebas weve lending noniam loan do kurunge hudda vipikemwa institute taka kia deve hidumetak tere himne kanka yeah timwana kamaka sual galwali and invest kogging libe lari noniam invest kureve lari kureveni sharia usulge dashunto nota nota ethical aldialwal general pension presentation is aldialwal magan gotte fund taking algon men beno me kurane MRPS ka adi mi fund takuga algon men den member na choice member on beno wani sharia compliant fund kunto noniyamun conventional investment fund kunto kuriyata and anekas eg jawab galona bunelam benani mi member ge choice ke none member ge tiyar gaba kameke kon usul kauto member hushala ani investment kuriya kende mutta atto sual tak jawab dewan kama umid koran netika ulume wakam wanyamu aliyal deva
Yeah, thank you.
marhaba
Saf.
සවාල කොල්ල විධාන්ප අඩුගන්ගේ ස්වාලකි මිහරු මීහුන් දිගු මුද්දතක මසෙක්ක කොගෙම් ලිගේ පෙන්ෂන් බවවේ දෙ මිහින් ඔබ මිභාගතකි ෆස්තොලස් පස්සහරු වීම පෙන්ෂන් කෙඩින් වත එජස්ටබ මුලියෙක් මිලිබැනි 5,000 රුපියා මිහිම් මිකම් වීම වාගතකි ෆස්තොලස් පහෙක් වීම එත දූකු හිදමැක්කුරි මිහායකේ බෙස් මසෙක්කතෙන් කුරා මිහායකේ එව්වත් මෙවන්නේ එහෙම වීම මේ බාර ගින බෙෆ්රුම් හිප්පුල් ගොෆෙද සුවාලේ එහෙම මිය හල්ලෙන් ඕන නනතෝ
Aishat ade vara bada shukriya ngeta ti devi suala mi Algodang hivani mitigali alwadan jekama ki pension scheme iftitah koregen de has nuwana har. Ngeda ege kuriga yes pension scheme ve names e pension scheme ki algo me miharu me hinga MRPS pension scheme no names sarukaruge waki muassasataka kun nuniyam sarukaruge waki payaka lipiken de pension. Names dehas nuege ganuna ganunanga badaloge fahun divehi rajyege huriha Rayitun ekoleveng ege marne ki official employment sector ga wakama wanyam huriha embena ves majbur korege midani pension scheme ga register kore pension taka lari se kor sual aish fa kore visual alialwali pension lari save kura miha ka lari save no kura miha ka hori tafat nete MMS me jeni fasa she Barosawang algodang hiwa gotuge e maudumat mulin safe no nuniam sida no sabaki pension fund uga lari hurechkama veji among edi elaria ki ganuni gotung kandayale adotaka bure mati lari kama veji among ebe fulaka pension nuni retire wumum elipeni ebe fulage amilla lari adinoita com ebe fuleg amile savings unna ebe fuleg savings un libung investment un draw kore vela ebe fuleg lari jumla adadaki waki adadaka wore dakwa dakama vajiamo yes gaanuni gotunu ni dawlatun haradu purenje adad ebe kodave namas jumla gotega e member ku libene adad wani fasas rufiya wore mati adadak emi eswalaka vedane pension nu save kora adadu ge lari husvun avas mudatega mige sabaki pension scheme ege satuga mi adi miwani ka ganaka ter warakan ha pension scheme ge furihama manfa fennan algan kiwa gotuge fennani muli umuru muli umurdoge benefits nuni muli umurdoge savings mis scheme ge dashun libilevan fettim he namaves pension nun save kura kanma wanyamung ebe fulnag ebe fulunge pension account go huri lari libene nizam mihare samajeken wan ngeta aishat eves itur swale
adi tirswalebe
ade is correct
Ani kala evves kala sifeka gaumga khidmate kurabba pension scheme me bes adi fasa nu libi nu beflak faraplu me pension scheme fasa nu made tibbo beflumes eba tibba umurun dos 65 years vima ebeflunan ekamako kala automatic 5000 rupiah libbanane then eta duwahaku mi sarkar ke daira tako hidme korabbagen mi libbadan ma pension libbadan maaf tibbo beflun pension scheme ga fund ge iturun wenun to kuri pension libbadan e beflun then mi beflunge mi lari hama tasla ke deni ke dife kala hama evs kamen no kon hori mi ha ke gotan hama passas ne beflun libbadan ei taren fair kamen no ne ki
Sinan alunde chenget kolon to iswalo ane vidalve jane ebiskoteka eche ane hidmate nukrami hona fasas rufiya libewa haka mi adde alunda boda hiwanni ekala formal employment egga nule mi hum wes retire woma fogonune 65 years woma pension libigen dawa haka he nata den ane formal employment egga nekkamuga vias mihun eki mihunge hidume gawman noniyama mi tisoda libige midani eki goikota gega misalaka vejiyama honna mamage kamaki kudim miyane housewife kamuga wanyamo eves sama miyane hidme kureve eddaira emihaga masekkate kidarinta ke rangala tarbiyatuko mi emme rangalu gotuga kudi mujtama neru ehvima ane formal employment e ganu hunna tive wazifa emme dueriko pasa rakka kurmuge fursate noni am pension eldi muge fursate ves kuri goy system ge tereng mimiha ya geldi genga bade e ekkanta dem balama resort e ganuni yamo ane amila private tane gamaseke kuramiha kuriga alun menge system ge tere nove mimis mi hu ves kawa kure fai mi hunna pension save kurvena goitak ves mafa se goitake mi ane hamma jehifa mi haru mi onna goitak nove ehma mimis mi hu kuriga alun menge terega kan kureve mon a gotun karnege tika sual taboda alun menge hituga mi ufeden je sababaki mi dannawa mi ole echeki mi huriha daira ge mi honna kive sama mujutamayen eki goiggotu mi contribute kuramon mihunge zuan duwasparu mi heda kurani mitang diriwlen rangalu tanakan hadavege den midani retirement hame anoni amuskuliwe ga baru neti masekken nukurwe hisaba midani diumon emiha kudaminu fagiru halata vettiyanu dinumaki dawlattuge zimmaige kamuga bahimaniche he miha ki adi kala kommi dairaku kommi gotuka masekkuri mihe kamuges ehma egotun rajyege pension nizam miharuge miye a nizam battan kurewonneruga ege e beenuma kavvi midanawa huriha mi ane divehi senior citizen ononiya mi fastols fasaharu matige mi hunaki emiha retire umafaga maseke nukurwe umraddi umuges fagiru haltun salame fati bayakan hedu ehma ekamattaka ರಾಜ್ಯಗ ಹಸಾಸಿ ಪೆನ್ಷನ್ ನಿಜಾಮ್ಗೆ ತೆರೆ ತಾರಫೆಗೆ ಮಿದಿಯೆ ದಿಯಾಮ ಮಿ ಫಸಾಸ್ ರುಫಿಯಾ ಮಿಹಾರು ಎಬ ಲಿಬೆ ರಾಜ್ಯಗ ಪಸ್ತುಳು ಫಸಾರು ಮತಿಗೆ ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ಮೀಹಕ ಎಹೆಮಿ ಮ ಕುರಿಗಾಳುವನ್ ಮೆನ್ನ ಫೆಣ್ಣುನು ಕಂಡೆ ಕೊಮ್ಮೆಸ್ ವರಕಂ ಹಮ ಮಿ ಎಲ್ಡಲಿ ಮೀಹುನ್ ಸಾಲಾಂಜಹ ನುನಿಯಾ ಮಕ್ಕಲ ಗೇಗೆ ಗೊಸ್ಸ ಕುದಿ ಕಾಯ್ತುಕೊಳ್ಳು ಹೋದಲೆಗೆ ಮಿ ಅಡೆ ಹುಕುರು ದೂಹು ಮಿಹೆ ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಕೊ ಮೀಹುಂಗೆ ಅತು ಲಿಬೆ ಕುದಿ ಅದದ್ದು ತಕುಂ ಎ ಮೀಹುಂಗೆ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ನೀಡ್ಸ್ ದ ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ ಕುರಾಂ jehonu hisabe vesa ekanko miharu mi a nizama ekiga mihalaten alun menge teriya kone ehma ei asluga mi ane pension nizamege perspective visnakamuga wanyamu alun men rajya libifai ama ane mi fahaga kuru kuran je achievement ke alun danawani ikkamaka wanyam den ane vidalu je etta zamanaka hidme kurami hun etta zamanaka hidme kurun alun de hiwani bodan e min kurevi dawlata hidme kurami hunge gotuga he pension abe gaanu namuge kuriga dawlatuge ekeki wazifattakuga maseke kure vibefulunnan ebawen eruga huri nizam tahuge tere pension libena goittan hamma je misalaka civil service nuniyamu mi judiciary police MNDF mitantanuge wazifatak retire korwa befulunna befulunge waki pension package taken hedigen e nizamge teren pension libe mongai mi ane mi faitwi dehas faitwi hameken faitwi maha balakamuga wanyamas dawlat ke pension ta dinuma mi 21 million rupiah harat korewon ngeta mi ei hamaikane mi dannawa mi dawlatge wazifatakun retire korwa befulunna ehama mi kamves asluga kureven mi demehettene gotega kurakamuga wanyamu systematically mikan kura mi jehne ehemwima ai ki gana changes takuge by retirement saving pension scheme en hedi e pension scheme ge tere pension provide ko dinma kureve masekate tere mi ba mi dan dairuga mi ane mibna maseke teringe mi elibe munda retirement inayetta minnani elibe fassas rufiaya tai kurevifa innative miwagoteki dawlatge wazifaye kon retire kura mihaya elibe pension dinumuga eba bala asasi pension ane dinumuga mi dawlatge ehem wazifayeko pension libe mi hetto libe kamuga wanyamu asasi pension mi libeni hamaikane mi fassas rufiya hama kuruma beenuwada misalaka 3000 rufiya mi libeni dawlatge wazifayeko retire kura mihaka e civil service retire kurum ham misale gotunaga adade 3000 rufiya ke 3000 rufiya libe kamuga wanyamu den asasi pension ge bank hemi ha mi libeni 2000 rufiya lagen fassas rufiya hama kurane mi ehemwima total kala 3000 plus ituru fassas kende wahaken alwanda hiwani dakkani den ebe boda kende gota miharu hama jessa fa minani ama dimalakum ane mi pension provide ko din matta ka dawlatun haradu kurevege miharattu mi kurani kurayruga anna adjustments takuge wahaken alwanda hiwani den eya asluga retirement pension scheme milibe hamille save koggen elibechaka hama ibis gulume maabudu gulume nen ingeta retirement pension scheme elibe pension ege 50% asasi pension ukandan ekamako mi dawlat wazifatak retire korwa befulunge pension ako retirement pension libeti waki echen unyennuan ingeta ei ekantata mi hamaji forna gotaki
na me aluna echen edukolle idan
dad
අනේ ඒරුග මේ ප්‍රොවිඩන්ට් ෆන්ඩ් අනේ පෙන්ෂන් ස්කීම් ඉඳ මේ මයිග්‍රේට් වීරුග ෆුරසතු දෙව්වේ කන්නගේ බේෆුළු මෙසලක විහිහාරුගේ පෙන්ෂන් සාලිසාරුගේ පෙන්ෂන්නේ හුරිගොත මුමුරන් නංගවානීතෝ නූනී රිකග්නිෂන් බොන්ඩ් එක ගොතන් ඒති ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරවිගේ මේ ෆහුන් ලික්විඩේට් කුරා ගොත 65 වීමතෝ දෙයින් එහෙමනේ unfortunately වරගින බේෆුළුම් බේනුම් ෆුළු කන්න ගෙර හිදම කුරේ බේෆුළුම් ඒරුගේ ඕල්ඩ් ගොතුගේ පෙන්ෂන් එන්නමස් මිහාරු බලාලි මලුන්නේ වෙෆෙනේ බෙනිෆිට් ගේ වර පොඩ තෆාති එහෙම වීමස් ඒ ගොස්තානේ ඒ ගේතර ෆස්නා ෆාහ කුරේ ගොත අස්තු ගේතරේග මසකේ කුර හුන්න මේ මම එකන් හුන්න මීහා ඒකන්ත හැම එකනි zamaanu සරෙන්නු මියදවස් හැම කාල ගොතක එමෙ ෆවුන්ඩ් National Bureau of Statistics වෙරිෆයිඩ් නානේ මේ not in employment මේ එම්ප්ලොයි වෙස්න කරා ට්‍රේනින් ගස්න නොහොන්න දෙන් ඇස මේ මතිතවලීම වෙස් කොරියන් නොදා පසන්ටේජ් ඒක 35 හරන්දරුගේ අංහෙනුගේ නිස්පැමි උඩනි සාලිස් එකමකු මේ ෆිරහෙනුගේ ෆනරහර සවිසහර දෙතරක බලාදාරක මිනන ෆන්සවිහා තිරීහා ගෙපුමා බොඩෙන්නු මේගමනෙක් චයිල්ඩ් බේරිං ඒජ දයා මස්තු අංහෙනුගේ බකොමෙසි ගතක වර්ක් මේ සිස්ටම් රාජ්‍ය කල්සර්නු ගොතු නුකුමේ නෝනිය බ්‍රේකින් එවනාග එමෙ මේ පෙන්ෂන් පලායරග මේ ඒකාල මේ social protection comments වරග අද දෙක් කණ්ඩායල ෆයිනු වර මුහිම්ම කන්නගේ for the benefit of හුරිහා එම්මේ වසීෆා අදා කරා එහෙම මම 5000 දෙන් ආගියු කරවිදාන කරන බජටුන් අන්නඤ්ඤා is it fair හෙයනු හෙය that's a debate we can have protection is also needed
දැන දෙමෙහෙට්ටෙන විගොත් එක කුරිය ගෙන්දා කම්ග වඤ්ඤා මේ විස්දත්ත හම ඩිබේට් කරේ දාන වාහක්තක
යවන සුවාද බෑන
කුරියන් අත
අවන්න සුවාලකි මේ නිහාරු මේ මිසාලක ෆෙමදියෙක්ග මිහුන්න බප්ප එන රිටියාවගේ මෙමට යම වසීෆා ගොළුන් ෆරාතේ එන රිටියාවගේ රිටයර්මන්ට්ගේ පෙන්ෂන් ලිබිලිබි හුට්ට මේ නියාවන් එහා අලතුග මිසාක පෙන්ෂන් ස්කීමුග එබෙස් එමවුන්ට හොරෙජ්ජයාමුන් ඒති බුණිමසාක මියකු නියාවිජ්ජයනක මුදා එනක දරින්න නොනේ වාරුතවරන්න බදේතා එගොත්ත පෙන්ෂන් ස්කීම ගුණ ෆෑස දානතව
Algan Fazul Pascolanto Eswal.
Ad mi retirement pension scheme ga misal pension libi huttaves adi pension liben feshmu ge kurinves eves balance hurejje kamga wanya me mihege warisuna court medveri kon e pesa hawal kura gotan inna den e ane by far tarikage teren hama abadwes ekan tarikage mi masalta nimeiruga e bavis nimi fa innawan den ekan kuriyan no gossa indejja malun menna hama gula lage mi ekan goingut saf kolli amara rangalwan
ಶುಕ್ರಿಯ
ಮಮ್ಮಿಯದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಗವರ ಮುಹಿಮ ಮಾಲೂಮಾತಕ್ಕೆ ಲಿಬುನು ಕಮಾಳುಗಂಡು ಉಮ್ಮೇದು ಕುರ ಹುರಿಹಾ ಬೇಫುಳಿನ ವೆಸ್ ಬಾಜವೆರಿ ದುವಹಕಂಗೆತೆ ವಸ್ಸಲಾಮು ಅಲೈಕುಂ ವರಹಮತುಲ್ಲಾಹಿ ವಬರಕಾತು